Welcome to this morning's post-cabinet press briefing. My name is Leslie Ann Johnson, and I am sitting in for the press secretary, Ms. Philomena Robertson. This morning we have with us the Honorable Nicholas Steele. He's to my immediate left. He is the Minister of Health, Social Security and International Business. And to his left, Dr. Francis Martin, the Senior Medical Officer. And we're talking this morning about the USNS Comfort, which just ended a week-long visit to Grenada, of course, where Grenadians benefited from services like cataract surgery on board the ship and other services at the two sites, the Karani James Athletic Stadium and the Grenada Trade Center. We'll also be talking about the NIAC Emergency Center and mass casualty response. So I'll now hand over to the Honorable Minister Steele. Good morning to you.
Thank you. Out there. I want to start first and foremost with most recent events of Sunday, having a tropical storm warning, and to really take time to recognize the team from NADMA. I know for a fact, I also want to take this opportunity to recognize my team from the Ministry of Health that participated. The weather is unpredictable, and that storm came upon us with very, very short notice. But we were able to mobilize, pull out our standard operating procedures, and get all things in place as was necessary. And by the grace of God, the storm did not affect us too much. Our heart and thoughts and prayers go out to those who were affected. I know there are individuals, even within my own constituency and length and breadth of the nation, that were affected by rain, flooding, damage, etc. And we are working assiduously to remedy all of those situations. I also want to take this opportunity, as we're talking about response or emergency response, to discuss very quickly what we would refer to as a mass casualty event, which occurred on Friday, which was a bus filled with people going over into the water on the Carriacou. I want to also again offer my sincere gratitude to those who responded. The ministry, in fact, the Permanent Secretary and myself would like to take this opportunity to mention certain people who are, in our opinion, worthy of that mention and expressions of gratitude. That is, in no particular order, Dr. Sonia Phillip, Dr. McLeish, and to my left here, Dr. Francis Martin. Dr. Sonia Phillip and Dr. McLeish were at casualty, as is their responsibility in the firm, and they responded admirably. Dr. Martin was at the stadium assisting with the going-ons of the U.S. Comfort and immediately went to casualty. I also want to take time to mention the rest of the staff at A&E, in particular Sister Marcia Archibald, Sister Arcada Coy Lagarde, Alicia Augustine Lacroix, and Sheba Charles, and nursing administrative staff who also went: Carol Williams, Sherma Burris, Sherry Ann Bagwan, Margot Roberts, Esther John, Nola Devonish, Tabitha Oliver, and Sonia Edmond. I personally saw all of these individuals in action and making sure that mass casualty event, while it did unfortunately result in loss of one life, and still there's one individual in ICU, the team at the General Hospital in A&E performed admirably. Just to give you the facts on that event, there were 13 persons who were involved in that accident. There was one person that had passed away before arriving to the hospital. A total of 6 admissions into ICU, 4 into female ward, 1 into ICU, and 1 into obstetrics. So those are the figures there. I want to move on from that, but while we're still dealing with emergency response, to take this opportunity to say, while I've congratulated and given the sentiments of my colleagues in Cabinet as well to the admirable the response from NADMA and the team, we want to say that while that response was worthy of mention, they're strengthening their facilities, and we're pleased to announce the construction of 2 emergency operating centers, one in Grenada and one in Carriacou. The one in Grenada is going to be in Monjalou. Estimated cost $3.9 million. Completion date estimated to be 31st of March 2021. And the one in Carriacou, estimated cost $2.6 million. Completion date estimated to be 20th of February 2021. Both of these facilities come with the kind donations from the United States government through coordination with Southcom and Naval Facilities Command, who are the ones in this region that help deal with emergencies, national emergencies for the island. So we express our gratitude to them and look forward to those facilities. One, the construction starting imminently, and two, the completion, so that we can strengthen our ability to respond and our resilience to respond to natural disasters like the type we had on Sunday. Let me get down to the more significant issue, which is the visit of the United States naval ship Comfort. Just to give you the overall details, Dr. Martin will go into some more details. But in total, 5,156 patients were seen, so Grenadian individuals. Of that, in terms of a breakdown, 2,366 fall into the category of family medicine, which would be general visit, checkups, etc. 1,925 fall into the category of optometry, which would be eyes, cataract, etc. 769 into dentistry, 96 into surgery. Dr. Martin will elaborate a little more with respect to surgery, but 96 into significant surgery. But we are counting a bit more with surgery that he will explain. So that is the general breakdown of the 5,156 patients that were seen, or Grenadians that were seen. I want to express on behalf of the Ministry of Health and the government and people of Grenada our heartfelt gratitude to the individuals who assisted on the United States naval ship Comfort, to Southern Command that was involved in the coordination, and to the Embassy of the United States in Bridgetown, as well as our newly appointed resident, Shazay Hare. I also want to take note, as we have said from the Ministry of Health, we also had an additional benefit from the visit of that ship, which was the repair of the oxygen plant at the hospital. The engineers from the ship, in touring the hospital, saw that we had some challenges with our oxygen plant, and we have been having in terms of constant repair, replacement, etc. And they did work to get that oxygen plant up and running. So I also want to express my gratitude to them. Having said that, I think I pass on to Dr. Martin, who will give a little more details, but to say as well that I take this opportunity to thank Dr. Martin, who from the ministry standpoint was the head team leader, so to speak, organizing on the ground here from the Ministry of Health. He would have interacted with other team members from the various other stakeholders, but he led the charge from the ministry. So thank you, Dr. Martin, and over to you.
Thank you, Minister. The mission started with a well-planned committee meeting periodically to decide what the ship is going to do when they're here. It started with the pre-screening on Saturday. This was intended to have patients who were already shortlisted for surgery be operated on from Sunday, right down through the rest of the week. Unfortunately, we didn't have the numbers of persons showing up for pre-screening on the Saturday as we anticipated. And we were a bit worried that we may not be able to get as much surgeries as we would like to get through. We requested of the ship to have a second surgical screening day, and they consented to that, and we were quite grateful for that. And so the second pre-surgical screening occurred on Tuesday. And that was really good because we were able to get a lot of our patients in through to receive their surgeries. According to the breakdown, the 90-plus surgeries that was noted are actually major surgeries. But when we look at through the family medicine and the family practice and other forms of services that required surgical procedures. We had an additional 50 plus surgical procedures. And those would include things like keloid removal, biopsies, removal of cysts, the lumps and bumps kind of issues. So when we really add those two together with the 96 surgeries, we come up to about close to 150. It's about 147 surgeries. And initially the ship had planned on giving 150 surgeries. So from that standpoint, we have accomplished our objective in terms of the surgeries. We are hoping that more people would take advantage early up. On Sunday and on Monday, we had a pretty decent showing. At site number 2 on Monday afternoon, we had a pretty poor showing, and so we decided to take some action, encourage people to come down. Well, by the end of the week, we had really an outpouring of persons coming, to the extent that on the last day we've had to have assistance from the senior police officers to keep the crowd in line. So all in all, it was a very successful mission, one that was really needed. Patients are calling and expressing their gratitude both to me and to other members of the Ministry of Health for the services that we received. And so it is, missions of that nature that we really look forward to help with the backlog that we have. And hopefully we're going to see more of that again in the future.
Thank you very much to the Honorable Nicholas Steele and to Dr. Francis Martin. The floor is now open for questions from the media. Please, of course, identify yourself and your media house and, of course, use the mic. Thank you.
Good morning, Sherry and Noel, GIS. Dr. Martin, the question I would like to pose to you has to do with the concerns of some in the general public. You said of the 90 plus surgeries that were done, most are asking about follow-ups. What are the plans in place?
Absolutely. Great question. I have on my desk right now the 2 boxes of all medical files that requires follow-up. I now have the tedious job of going through these files and contacting people to ensure that the necessary follow-up is taken place. So that we have under control.
And to Minister Steele, with the welcoming news of the oxygen plant, there were also information that there is still a compressor that needs some sort of attention. What's the plan to ensure that is fixed and the oxygen plant will remain?
Well, we've been having difficulties with that oxygen plant for quite some time. So it's been up for a while and down, up for a while and down. So I keep my fingers crossed that it's up right now and it's up for a length of time. So that oxygen plant has remained a challenge. So I'm grateful. While I'm grateful for all of the assistance we've received from the U.S., we need to look at a way forward. Now with the phase 2 of the hospital, there is the purchase of additional oxygen production facilities, which will create some redundancies to allow, if either goes down, that we still have the ability to provide oxygen throughout, as well as having the backup of the local suppliers and regional suppliers of oxygen. So in terms of compressors to purchase, also there are more bits and pieces to purchase, because phase 2, as I said, has to have, and I look forward to having at some point Princess Royal in Carriacou independent as well, so it doesn't have to rely on mainland for oxygen supply, so quite possibly a smaller oxygen production facility at Princess Royal as well, but that's moving forward. The one thing with medicine and hospital equipment, and so that there's constant repair, maintenance, and in most cases replacement. You will find in certain first world nations, they only keep equipment for 3 years, whether it's good or bad or started giving problems or not. They just simply replace. I would like us to be in that position, and hopefully we will be at one day. But for the time being, we try to make the best with the limited resources that we have. So that's why we're grateful for the assistance we received from the engineers, from the comfort.
And just want to jump back to what you said about NADMA in terms of the construction of the emergency shelters. Have this project tenders already went out? Because I realize that you gave deadlines as to when you expect them to be completed.
There is a contractor that has been awarded, as is in some cases or in most cases when this is grant funding. as we've seen with grant funding from USAID in the past, or the U.S. Government as a whole, and with other countries like China, etc., that there is first and foremost a U.S., in this instance, a U.S. contractor that has been awarded, and that is the Navy's Facility Command Engineering. They will now come down to Grenada and go through a process of a subcontractor as to whether, based on their rules, so this is not applicable to our rules of procurement where we are receiving the money to then go through, which we would go through a tender process. In this instance, they are delivering a turnkey to us. So while there's a dollar value attached, their contractor will go through process according to their rules to get a Grenadian subcontractor or subcontractors to do the construction. We look forward in that process to as many jobs being created in Grenada and the sister island, coordinating with them wherever possible.
Minister Steele, I want to go back to the topic of mass casualty response. Have you had any discussion with the Ministry of Works, because there is a fear now that this situation could happen again where the bus went over. Anything that can be said that could allay the fears of the public? Some people are calling for some sort of barricade, something to be done just to ensure there's not a repeat of that occurrence. Anything that could be said?
I know the police are currently conducting their investigation. The initial reports that we've received shows to the vehicle not operating properly. So it's a case of looking at the broader picture with respect to inspections of vehicles that provide utility services or transport to our population as well. So it goes beyond putting barriers or so. I think we need to ensure that the vehicles that are transporting our nation's population are safe. And the ministry, as far as I'm aware, the discussions with the minister, that's the direction that they are taking. And I'm sure with the police, traffic branch and the chief of police, that would be the direction of their investigation. One, to find out, as you were implying, how to prevent this from happening in the future and what steps need to be taken for that.
And to you again, Minister, in terms of the emergency operating centers, what would that mean for us once they're constructed here and in Carriacou in terms of Grenada's disaster preparedness abilities and responsibilities?
But it ups the game. It would be a modern facility that would have storage as well as the various operational aspects of it. So it will be built to resist hurricanes. It will be built to resist earthquakes. It will be built based on its location to resist flooding as well, tsunamis or any of the other forms of natural disasters. So it ups our game. While we were quite happy with the response of NADMA over the weekend, I think we can look forward to that added ability of them to respond more efficiently and effectively, and also to know that they will be safer while doing so in the event of natural disaster, God forbid, a hurricane, earthquake, or tsunami.
Thank you. Dr. Martin, the recent visit of the USNS Comfort, how much has it helped with all that was done to sort of ease the burden? We know healthcare is an ongoing something, but how much has it helped to ease the burden that the Ministry of Health is facing, at least for a particular time?
It has significantly impacted on the waiting list for minor and some major surgeries. Gallbladder removal and hernia repair were the two most common major surgeries that was done. When it came to ophthalmology, cataract removal was the major part, and the other thing would be the lumps and bumps, which are minor surgeries. But to peel away 150-something surgeries, it's quite significant by any health system in terms of or system of that nature, especially our population. But what it also did, and I'm glad Minister is here to hear this, is that it highlighted the problem we have with regards to cataract on the island. We really need to do something about it, and Minister and I have had discussions on how we can approach this. So rest assured that the ministry is going to make make significant steps in addressing the issue. First of all, understanding the issue of why cataracts is that much, and then see what we can do going forward.
Let me just comment on that further. just to, if you remember, or let me draw your attention to the fact that we've thrown, in my words, we've thrown quite a lot at cataract ailments here. We've had the Milagro program that has dealt with close to 1,000 Grenadians. We have an SGU coordinated visiting team that comes here about twice a year that does cataracts, and we have our own doctors at the hospital in the ophthalmology department that are performing cataract surgeries as well. But still, we find that there is, when an opportunity like this, when we have a visit from the comfort, there is such a large amount of optometry cases and significantly cataract. So what Dr. Martin and I are discussing, and we are approaching Pan American Health on that, is that we need to take a different approach on this and not just making sure that the cure exists, which is the surgeries, but we need to be looking at the cause as well and find some way to mitigate, because with all of that we're throwing at it, the cause just seems to be creating a greater number of cases than we can deal with. So something has to be done, and it is a region-wide issue. But we are now, because of our electronic medical records and because of the record keeping that we've done with this visit as well, able to recognize the problem from a numbers standpoint so that we can now coordinate with Pan American Health on that.
I don't want to dwell too much on the negative, but Dr. Martin, I need to ask, and we know the reality is there was some negative press. Has it hampered in any way some of the progress that could have been made? Because I know you mentioned that one of the pre-screening days, there were not many. In terms of people just, investigating and thinking for themselves, just to see what the benefits of something can be, because they did eventually come out.
Yeah, I don't want to.
Let me try and answer that. Yes, it did create an issue. The negative publicity that was out there, the ridiculous negative publicity that was out there, we believe was one of the reasons that there was a poor showing on the Sunday and quite possibly on the Monday. We, the ministry, had to actively get involved in further public relations, getting people to give testimonials, etc., on air, to convince Grenadians that the rubbish that was being said by a few others on social media was exactly that, totally ridiculous. And thankfully at that point, people saw the facts and the truth and came out and took advantage of the opportunity. But regrettably, we lost about a day and a half in terms of having a maximum showing on the Sunday and the Monday. So the lesson there is to be cautious of what's on social media. All that's on social media isn't necessarily true. And there are naysayers who weren't even Grenadians in the beginning, who were posting stuff, but Grenadians were circulating it, that denied us as a people the opportunity for proper medical care, or some of us, because up to the last day we had large crowds there at both staging grounds. But unfortunately the team was here for a significant period, but was here for a definite period. So on the Friday afternoon they had to close up shop, much to the regret of many Grenadians who still had not been seen to, that we now have to follow up and find ways that we can get their issues addressed. But it just shows, I think we need to be less gullible. We need to have more faith in our government and our government system and our doctors who are independent of our government and our government system. And that we're not going to lead the public astray. We're not perfect. And our health system does have its faults as well, but not to the extent of those ridiculous comments that were being made on social media. And I hope as the ship goes through the Caribbean, that people see those individuals for what they were, and that there is a good response in St. Kitts and in St. Lucia as well as the ship goes on through. Because as we have seen here, it provided a much needed service.
Thank you, Minister. Anybody else have any questions?
Delacia Chetson from the Grenadian Voice newspaper. A couple of questions for the Minister. What was the challenge in repairing the oxygen plant over the years?
There have been various challenges. There's been initially the individual entity that we had a service contract with was no longer representing the manufacturer. We then had to find other entities, and we were speaking directly with the manufacturer. But In general, as a result of it not being serviced properly from day one, we were plagued with a series of issues. I do believe now that we have dealt with those various issues, corrected all of the faults as a result of improper servicing or service procedures in the beginning. We didn't have that support in the beginning because the entity that we had engaged disappeared then, was no longer in existence, and that was who was recommended to us. So we have since moved on from that and in communication now directly with the manufacturer. We had put a budget for certain parts to be replaced, but with the repairs that were done, we don't have to necessarily replace those parts, but the budget still remains to make sure that the oxygen plant runs efficiently and as effectively as possible. This has been a long journey in the repair, so I am guarded in my comments and expressing my gratitude to the team that has repaired it. But I do know that we do need to replace that oxygen facility over a period of time, and we do need to purchase a new one for the phase 2 of the hospital.
A few more questions. With the plant now operational, will the shipment from Trinidad, would it be reduced?
Shipments from Trinidad, when we engaged in most recently, which was when we asked the Trinidad Coast Guard to assist, that was when we found our oxygen levels were going low. The local supplier here was also short of oxygen, and so therefore we wanted to make sure that we had a certain amount in or on island, so we asked Trinidad for assistance. Oxygen is not produced primarily here, although as far as I'm aware, L&M does have the capability. But I guess we being the only customer, we don't purchase that much from them for them to commission that plant. So they also purchase from Trinidad as well. So you will find when we order directly, either through them or the suppliers in Trinidad, it's the same ship that's bringing it up. So that's why in the past you would have seen that we asked the Coast Guard to assist in bringing emergency supplies. I cannot say that we won't need to purchase in the future, because I cannot say that plant will not have any issues or so. Act of God or is maintenance. We all have vehicles, we all have equipment or so. We will make every effort to maintain it and make sure that it's up and running. But I honestly can't tell you that there won't be an incident of it going down and us having to purchase oxygen.
What is the annual cost of the oxygen shipment?
If we purchase oxygen fully and not utilize our plant, we're looking at upwards of 30 or 40,000 EC dollars a month in purchase of oxygen. That's why it's necessary to have that oxygen production. The healthcare is expensive. Healthcare is expensive. Oxygen has to be supplied to all the wards. Oxygen has to be in casualty. Oxygen has to be in obstetrics. All over the hospital, oxygen must be supplied, and you will see oxygen tanks all over the hospital. So it is an expensive business.
Anybody else, or are we good? Jared?
Gerard Joseph, GBN. Yes, a question for Minister Steele. In April, you will have last had a really serious post-cap with you, and you would have highlighted on certain plans or programs the ministry would be implementing. The first was the health chat room. Can you give an update? The health chat room. Can you give an update on that first?
The health chat room is not fully up and running. We have identified individuals. Actually, Dr. Martin is one of those that's responsible. We're trying to get our health chat room coordinated with our electronic medical records as well, in terms of all of the facilities being online, all of our healthcare facilities. So no, the health chat room is not up and running as yet. The ability of Ministry of Health to respond, though, was tested twice in the last 4 days, on Friday as well as on Sunday. But as you have seen on Sunday in particular with NADMA, but let's just look from a health standpoint alone, there is still need for us to up the game with respect to our ability to interact with the public. Similarly, I'm sure on Friday, there's still need for us to, with that mass event, to have provided direct information where necessary to stop some of the rumors and some of the various issues and so. So I'm not going to rest until the chat room is up, but no, the chat room is not up as yet. There is still a need and it will be up. Let me go further. I think what also that is necessary as well, that chat room has to be part of, and we are initiating what will be a central dispatch for ambulance and ambulatory services as well, instead of what exists right now where individuals call the individual hospitals and technically the emergency rooms of the individual hospitals. There will be one central number, one central location that will also be coordinated with police and fire response for ambulatory services. So we have already had those discussions, we already have the costing, and we're putting that forward to have that implemented with an outside service provider as well. So you'll have a central dispatch. That I think is key. So while we have sort of dropped the chat room down to stage 2 or number 2 on the list, it's because there are other things that have to be prioritized. Now, all of these take resources. So we have made a conscious decision that the central dispatch of ambulance should go first. And chat room, while to the public it seems like a simple Facebook, no, it has to be manned properly to make sure that we don't send out disinformation.
The central dispatch service was my second question. You would have given a 2-week deadline for the health chat room and a 4-month deadline for the central dispatch system. How soon can the central dispatch come about?
Central dispatch is ready to go in terms of purchase and implement. We have to recognize that we are guided by budgetary constraints. So we're ready to go. If we can find a way with Ministry of Finance to get it done now that we're into the third quarter of the year, so we know what our budgets are, where our savings are, where we can redirect certain spending and so, then we will get that done within the third quarter. If not, it will be in the first quarter of next year. We just need to adhere to the very discipline that we have legally signed on to.
Question to that. Training was part of the central dispatch service. How far away from that are we?
Training and the required individuals have been identified, yes. Now, remember, it's a coordinated effort. I've said that central dispatch is going to be coordinated with police and fire as well. So there have been discussions. A team actually did travel to see one of those in operation, and we have had discussions with respect to the necessary HR or human resource that needs to be put there. So all of that happens once we have the system in place. The system will be purchased either through savings in this quarter or through the budget in the first quarter of 2020.
Final question. I returned back to the oxygen plant. In terms of, you have highlighted maintenance will have been a problem. Is it that, well, even though we are outsourcing, is it possible that we could look to train individuals here in Grenada to do the maintenance of the systems here? Because the technicians at the hospital as well as the engineers aboard the U.S. Comfort will have worked together. So can they be trained to facilitate such a process?
Most definitely. In fact, I was supposed to go meet some of the young Grenadians that are working on the oxygen plant right now, that worked with the U.S. engineers. And after this press briefing, I'm going back to the General Hospital, and I will be meeting with them. So yes, individuals have been identified to do the medical engineering side of not just the oxygen plant, but we've got numerous bits of equipment, and so throughout the General Hospital and healthcare facilities that we need to identify the individuals. Some of these individuals have been Amanis that have stepped up now and are performing yeoman service there. We're fortunate enough to have been working side by side with engineers, not just the U.S. engineers that have that visited last week, but the various engineers that come in to the General Hospital and our healthcare facilities on the various maintenance visits and so. So yes, that is most important. most important to have that. Those individuals have been identified, and it's just right now we need to up the game and send some away for training. While we have here who have been trained, we have 2 that have been trained as well, but it's a constant journey that we have to take.
Thank you, Jared. Anybody else? All right.
Okay, well, let me just use this opportunity. There's one other thing I wanted to save this for last. I'm on my way up to the General Hospital, as I've said, because I am handing over an award that we received from Pan American Health Organization. So just to use this opportunity, the General Hospital of Grenada has been hereby certified by Pan American Health Organization as a baby-friendly hospital, which means that we are practicing all the 10 steps to successful breastfeeding. Accredited August 7th, 2019, the Baby Friendly Hospital Initiative was established and defined by the World Health Organization and the United Nations Children Fund. So this is basically the practices, procedures, and policies that are in place from birth to discharge of mother and child. The Pan American Health Organization recognizes that the team in obstetrics, that's doctors, nurses, and the facilities being provided, though limited, the facilities being provided qualify us to be baby-friendly.
Thank you, Minister. If I remember correctly, Dr. George Mitchell did say that we're second only to Barbados at the official
Correct.
opening.
We are second only with respect to the CARICOM countries, only to Barbados. And I think a lot of credit has to be given to the entire team, community as well. Our community nurses, team at the General Hospital, obstetrics department in particular, more specifically. So doctors and nurses in order to have this independent certification.
Thank you very much to the Honorable Nicholas Steele, Minister for Health, Social Security and International Business, and to Dr. Francis Martin, Senior Medical Officer, giving us a lot of information there on the USNS Comfort just ended a visit to Grenada, the NEAC Emergency Center, and of course mass casualty response. We know of the unfortunate accident that happened sometime last week, Friday. And of course, just to mention, one of our own colleagues, Antonia Mendez, she was actually on the bus. She returned to work this morning, and thankfully she is doing fine. All right, colleagues.
Sorry, I just want to add one last thing. I have seen, so while we don't have that social media page up yet, we are monitoring social media. I have seen an open letter written to me as minister expressing concern on recent passing of healthcare personnel, doctors and nurses, and in particular the high percentage of the cancer as being the cause of the death of those individuals. Some of those I have personally in the public expressed our condolences to the family, and so I think the person is spot on in terms of it has raised our alert. We have communicated to Pan American Health as well to say that this is an extraordinarily high level to call a coincidence and needs some investigation, at least to dispel and give the rest of us who are still around some peace of mind, or to identify if there is a cause or so. So we're not avoiding. We did recognize it ourselves and have made the necessary contacts in order to do the necessary investigation. It's an investigation at this point in time, because I agree with the person, while we regret the passing of any of our healthcare workers, we do monitor and we are seeing a high percentage of cancer. We are seeing a high percentage of cancer in the nation as a whole. We just need to investigate to make sure that this is either part of the trend, or if it is not, rest assured that it will be remedied.
Thank you, gentlemen, once again, and thank you, colleagues, for coming. And of course, thank you to all of you viewing us on Channel 22, online and on social media. Have a great day, everybody. Thank you.
Grenada's economy is heading for its 7th year of consistent growth, averaging over 5%. Unemployment was reduced by 20%, while debt to GDP ratio was reduced from 108% to 63.5%. NNP committed to the economic and social development of our people. NNP delivering on the promise.
Do as they please, they could never pull me down. 'Cause I was born as a winner. Dirty heart, tell me why is your sinner? All you can tired, but mine need to walk it. All you try to get me fired, but that still ain't working. Try to make my woman leave me, but that still ain't working. Go buy you be a man to do me. Oh, give up now. Advice for you. Don't try me.
And a good morning to Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique.
I come from.
Once again, it's another edition of Hard Talk. Today, the 24th day of September 2019. My name's Sheldon Scott, taking you up until the 12 o'clock hour. You've just heard the post-cabinet press briefing.
As you like, you could.
Minister in the hot seat this morning. Yes, the Honorable Nicholas Steele.
You ain't.
Minister with responsibility for health.
Energy, if you like, but you can't stop me. No, you ain't stopping me. Step up. Dirty heart can say what they want.
It's a beautiful Tuesday on the outside and on the inside.
They could do as they please. They could never.
We're live on 97.5 CitysoundFM.
'Cause I was born
89.5 CRFM.
Oh,
92.9 Sister Al's FM in Carriacou. And 94.9 in Brooklyn.
all you can tired, but mine need to walk it.
Also live at www.hardtalkgrenada.com.
But that still ain't walking.
Our Facebook page, Hard Talk Grenada Live.
My woman leave me, but that still ain't walking.
Our YouTube page, Hard Talk Grenada.
Me a man to do me.
And via your mobile devices, yeah? With the WeiNoise Radio app.
Nah. My
Listen, you again, WeiNoise Radio on any device you have that connected to the internet, yeah?
yes.
Once you could access radio streams,
Till
you ask Alexa,
telling you now.
Alexa, play Hard Talk Grenada.
Walking is like you in Harry. Dirty heart, you could say.
Good morning to you all on the live. Bala, good morning. Leslie. Kiki, good morning, dear.
You ain't stopping.
Seeing Kathleen and Sonia, good morning to each and every one of you. Remember to like and share the live. Like and share the live.
You like.
Cynthia, good morning to you. And George.
No, you ain't stopping me.
Samu, morning. Sailor Joe. As your name from now on, Sailor Joe. And Kenley, haven't seen you for a while, bro. Hope everything is all right and okay. So we've just had the post-cabinet press briefing, and we heard some information coming up there. Over 5,000 people receiving assistance at various levels from the U.S. naval ship, the Comfort. Yeah, Well, 5,000 people were able to gain access to the services being offered by the vessel while they were in Grenadian waters. They've now gone up the road. I believe they've gone to St. Lucia next. Other folks bought into the propaganda.
All you can tired.
And as such, the final few days, that's when you had like loads upon loads of people. We were telling you from the week before to go, go, go. Some individuals made their head hard. We ain't going to tell you nothing to damage you. We ain't going to tell you nothing to make anything wrong with you. We wouldn't do that on this program. So we said, go. We pleaded with people to go. The Sunday, okay, at 200 at each site, 200 at the stadium, 200 down, a little over 200 at the stadium and a little over 200 at the trade center. Yeah? Then it came to the Monday, same sort of thing, less than the 200 that you had the day before down at the trade center and around a 200 at the stadium. And then when people started realizing what's going on, that people with eye problems with their sight, went there and received, in some instances, 3 pairs of glasses. Yeah, 3 pairs. They got one, a dark shades, for when you're going out into the sun, because the sun does negatively affect your eyes, and you should shade your eyes as much as possible. So one, they got shades, and these are people that went down to the trade center and the stadium. They were able to get both of them, shades, and if you had problems with your vision, like seeing close up, like you were in your older, you're in your middle to late age, and you had problems seeing close up when you're reading, they gave you a pair of glasses for that, and then one to see far off. So 3 pairs of glasses. Some people left with 3, some people left with 2. Some people left with one to see dark shades and one to see far, or dark shades and one to see near. Other people left with 3. And we were saying, go, the people were giving this thing away free. Yeah, free. Giving it away. And many persons decided, well, me ain't going down there. They want to experiment on people and all sorts of nonsense. You're having problems with your eyes, you needed eye drops. Some of the eye drops that are very expensive because they're eye drops that are over $100 and so, according to the eye condition you have. And they gave it away to people for free. Gave it away. They didn't say pay them something and they go give you. They gave it away free to individuals. Yeah? Some of you who did not get the opportunity to go down to Gentle Dental Care and check Dr. Julie Dubois and her wonderful staff down there to have your teeth sorted out, or one of the other dentists, or you didn't have the money to be able to go and do it. They did it. Who get 3 and 4 filling that they was probably waiting for a long time, or filling fall out, and they didn't have the money to go and put it back in, and they were able to get that done for free. And even some people who could have afforded to get the 3 glasses, some people who could have afforded, they could have afforded to get the 3 glasses or to pay to do the filling. They get it for free. So if you say no, they went and they did it. They got it done. And what we ended up? You ended up with Thursday now, hundreds of people at the different locations until they have to stop the line. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Hundreds of people in the lines now because they finally realized that, look, I mean, it's such a sad situation that you had folks that were going there that needed surgery, that were called by the Ministry of Health and told, hey, come on down and get your surgery done. There are pre-screening days, the Monday and the Tuesday, or the Sunday and the Monday, whatever. Come down and get your surgeries done. You wouldn't have to pay a cent. It will be done by professionals, the same as it's being done by professionals here. But in this instance, you don't have to pay, and you're getting it done now versus next year, versus November or December. They told that. The Ministry of Health actually phoned people who needed specific surgeries and told them that. And these folks did not go. And when some decided to go now, they went on the Wednesday, the Thursday, or the Friday and got caught up in the rush now. And now they're left to wait for when these surgeries can be done. And you heard Dr. Martin on Post Cabinet saying now, that he has 2 boxes of the files of the 147 or so persons who did receive surgeries, the 147 who did receive surgeries. He has the files of those persons now for the follow-ups, because it's not just that you do a surgery and that's it. You don't ever visit a doctor, you don't go back and check. You must go back every now and again to see how things progress until they give you the all clear. So he has those files now, and he has to go through file by file to make sure that everyone, they have their follow-up, because their files have been passed on. You have other individuals who, even though their surgery may not have been able to be done, the different issues were identified, so that now they've been passed on to the local team who will now do the surgery. Because the ship was only here for a small, it's not here for 2 months. It's not docking here permanently. It was just passing through. So he basically had a U.S. hospital come to Grenada instead of you having to leave Grenada, get a visa, take a flight, spend how much hours in the air, taxi, place to stay, and find somewhere in the States to go to a hospital. You had a U.S. hospital come to you. And some people allowed the negative statements being made there by people that they don't even know if these people, who these people are. Somebody sends, come on, we have to get to the stage where we start to be discerning. I often hear a partner of mine speak about being discerning in the spiritual sense. But you have to also be discerning in the normal sense of information that is provided to you, and whether that information is sensible, reasonable, whether it can be tested, whether it is realistic. And somebody sends a voice note to you, you don't know who the person speaking in the voice note is. That's the first thing there. They do not identify themselves by name and say, my name is so and so. They do not hold a position where they would know what they're speaking about. The mere fact that they call a floating hospital, a medical ship, a tourist boat, that's the first thing that's supposed to trip you off to that. These are psycho, mad people, psychologically imbalanced individuals that put out voice notes, and many people fell for it. So I hope it's a lesson to many of you out there to not readily believe everything you see online or everything somebody sends to your phone. Not because it's been sent to your phone mean it's true. Believe me. So you've got to be careful. So post-gap, we had over 5,000 people receiving assistance from the U.S. naval vessel, the Comfort, and they were also able to assist Grenada by repairing the oxygen plant. In fact, the first place you heard that was on HARDTALK. Yeah, we could pat ourselves on the back there. You heard that first, live and direct, on HARDTALK, that they provided oxygen to the Grenada Health Services, and they were able to assist because there was a part that they had on the vessel that Grenada was having problems sourcing to fix the oxygen plant, and they were able to use what they had on the vessel, because obviously if they're traveling, they'll be traveling with their own internal oxygen plants and also the spare parts to fix it in case of anything. So they were able to use out of their spare parts and fix the oxygen plant here in Grenada. Yeah? So, and these are the same people were saying, don't let them come, they shouldn't come, and all this sort of nonsense. There were people there saying, send the ship in the Bahamas and leave the band here, and all sorts of stupid statements. Yeah, nonsensical, just idiotic, because they lacked thought. Yeah? But lo and behold, they have come, they have gone, and they have done a wonderful job here in Grenada. There are several people who had gallbladder removal, some people who had little small tumors in different parts, or like they say lumps and bumps, the small tumors, and so they had those removed. And a lot of individuals who had cataract surgery, thygirium surgery, yes, I learned to pronounce the word now, thygirium surgery. And so a lot of individuals received proper medical care. And as I said, there are Grenadians that work with that ship as well. I know one because it's my cousin. And she's from right in Springs. Yeah, Springs where I'm really from, not St. David's. But St. David's are from too. And And Carriacou. And St. John. Yeah, all of them. Nice. But yeah, they were able to provide wonderful services to the Grenadian people. So outside of the 5,000 plus people that visited, there is now the rollover of what they have been able to achieve by fixing the oxygen plant so that that can assist. And then you heard Minister Steele speak of continuous upgrades. So in phase 2 of the General Hospital, what has been included in the equipment list is a new oxygen plant. So that new oxygen plant would be able to provide services to the Grenadian people, and the old oxygen plant can be there as a backup. You'll fix it, you have it there. So in case anything goes wrong with the new one, then you have that one as a backup. Redundancy. And I always believe in redundancy. Yeah? I believe in having more than one microphone. In case something go wrong with this microphone that I'm using, I must have another microphone that I could pull to continue the program. The program mustn't just stop because I don't have a microphone. Yeah? And Angelique is making the point here. Even when you go to the US, you have to have a family member add you to their medical insurance in the United States before you can get any medical attention. They didn't ask for no medical insurance when the ship came here. But if you're in the US and you need medical attention, you have to have medical insurance. Yeah? And Angelique is saying she can't believe she's seeing a GoFundMe shortly after the medical ship left. Well, that's how the cookie crumbles sometimes, my dear. That's how the cookie crumbles sometimes. 2 minutes away from the 11 o'clock hour. If you've got to be somewhere for 11 and you're more than 2 footsteps away, you are officially late. Start formulating your response to why you're late. I didn't say to tell the untruth. I said start formulating your response. We've got a call online. Good morning.
Sheldon, good morning. How you doing?
Hey, I'm quite fine.
Well, I'm happy that I am able to get you just to put the icing on the cake.
Oh boy, brother, I'm barely hearing you. I'm barely hearing you.
I said just to put the icing on the cake.
Okay, go right ahead, man.
Yeah, Kevin Frederick speaking. So, even what is still puzzling us at the ministry is the mere fact that, you know, some people choose not to register the information with us on the way out. The couple of people who didn't do that, we are appealing to you to bring in your records. I could give you a classic example, and it speaks to the level of ignorance among some of us Grenadians here. Now, the information that they withheld from us, there's a particular young lady who verbally abused 2 of my staff. However, my site supervisor, Miss Angela Joseph, spoke with her outsider and said to her, listen, all what they need from you is your medical records because we need to follow up. She was like, she don't want them in she business and all kind of thing. And she convinced her to just show her what was written on the paper. Lo and behold, the young lady has a number of cysts and she has kidney problems. Now, Angie was able to actually convince her in the end and take that paper from her and go back and get it registered so that we can follow up to make sure that she gets the right treatment and so on. There's another young lady. Her situation was even worse in that she had already manifested signs of cervical cancer. And she is now in our system now, and she will be able to receive treatment and so on. So this is the depth, right, of what took place last week, that the ignorant ones who fell for the crap that was making the rounds on social media, they would not really understand how significant the comfort visit was to a number of us Grenadians, whether or not directly or indirectly. So it's time that, you know, we start wising up. It's time that we start reading for ourselves, you know, and empowering ourselves and listen to the authorities, because we don't have all of the answers, but at least trust us. That's what we are there to do, to to help you, and to care for you. So I hope that, as you quite rightly said, that going forward, some of us will now be able to, sit, examine ourselves, and pick out what is good and what is bad, because, as you quite rightly said, there's a lot of crap, a lot of negatives circulating on social media.
Kevin, I thank you so very much, and I hope that the call that you have just made goes out to all of those who just left without checking out.
Yeah.
I hope it goes out, because it's their own life they're playing. You're trying to help them save their life, and they're doing everything to lose it.
Exactly. And at the end of the day, they will turn around and blame the ministry. When water more than flour, and they find themselves in the hospital, they come down on the minister, the ministry, the nurses, the doctors, Grenada, when it was their fault initially, because they were the ones who chose not to handle. So you came to the entire process, and the Americans kept reminding people, because I was right there, please register on your way out with the Ministry of Health, because we need to follow up, right? So it makes life easier for us, and that is what Dr. Martin was speaking about. We have hundreds of chats now that we have to put a team together to go to, call people, follow up with, and they don't understand that the ones records that we do not have, it is safe to say that you get less.
Oh boy.
And that is the harsh reality of it.
You see, the problem here is that the medical team that was here, for instance, they may identify, as you mentioned, one, kidney problems. Kidney problems progressively over time will kill you.
Exactly.
It's not a if, what, or but about it. Kidney problems progressively, if left unchecked and untreated, only one outcome you're going to have. You're going to die. Yeah, because then your kidney, and when one kidney collapses, we know the other one goes with it. So it's not like you have one and one good and one thing. When one goes, the other one goes too. And they're telling you that you have the possibility of kidney problems, you have cysts. They can't do the surgery on it one time. So they're referring you to the general hospital. You never knew you had it. They're referring you to the general hospital, and you're just refusing?
Of course.
Ah, brother.
So
maybe they have a visa.
But seriously, that level of ignorance is going to kill some of us.
Yes, indeed.
It's sad, but that's the only way I can put it. It is going to kill some of us.
Yes, indeed, brother. We'd like to thank you so very much, Kevin, because I know you're on your way up to General Hospital.
Yeah.
I heard Minister he's going up there to deliver that Power Award. So I know that you're on your way there or up there already.
Yes, I am close.
Okay, brother. You enjoy the rest of your day today. And again,
good.
Thanks for the wonderful job.
All right, man, good.
All right. Yes, indeed. Yeah, that's Kevin Frederick Dead, Information Officer attached to the Ministry of Health. And he always calls in and he always giving information. Yeah, I've been joined in studio for a short while by Devon.
Good morning, Sheldon.
Devon, show them. Show those on camera. Show those on camera. All right.
I won't show you the next one. But I just want, just as I'm passing, just say good morning to all. And so, but Sheldon, I'll be off for a couple of days.
Yeah.
Definitely. And so, because of the injury and so, thank God for the...
it's the same injury that just keeps being aggravated and so on. Folks, it's not that he has a new injury.
No,
it's
not,
the same. For those of you that view HARDTALK, you know every now and again you see the hands start to give him the problem. So it happens again.
Yeah. So, and it's both the shoulder and the wrist.
Yeah. So,
after seeing the medical doctors from the Comforts on Friday, I left there about minutes after 2 the evening, Friday evening.
And you went there earlier?
Almost the last person to leave. And so because I had to do x-ray and everything on the shoulder. And so
they did the x-ray on land?
On land.
Okay.
Yeah, did the x-ray on land, everything, and then they are there to refer me to another specialist there, to do what necessary. Now I have to deal with the general hospital now because things like surgeries and so are done. And hey, I'm glad I took the opportunity to go
because
to the Comfort.
Other than that, who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
next thing you lose mobility totally.
Exactly. And, I was able to deal with basically 3 problems during that week. The eye, and then you have the wrist and the elbow.
Together with him when you doing the eye.
Yeah. I really,
we go through together.
and I really hope most Grenadians who were there take advantage, took advantage of the service and so, and much appreciated.
Yes, indeed. And Chris is saying, get well soon to you.
Yes,
and I know,
yes.
the entire HARDTALK family.
Yes,
Everybody
yes.
is wishing that you get well soon.
I will. I definitely will, and so on. All right, so hey, well, we keep in touch, and hey, good morning, everybody, and I'm here. Okay.
All right. So that's it. Devon passing through. We'll be right back.
Oh, dirty heart, tell me why you see now. All you can tired, but mine it don't walking. All you try to get me fired, but that still ain't working. Try to make me woman leave me, but that still ain't working. Go buy me a man to do me. Give up now. My money still making. You've tried for years, and up to now you still waiting. I'm telling you now that bad mind not working. It's like you in Harry. Dirty heart, you could say as you like. You could do as you please, but you ain't stopping me. No, you ain't stopping where you could waste energy if you like, but you can't stop me. No, you ain't stopping me.
Yes, indeed. So we hope our good bro Devon gets well soon. Dory, is he hand that damage? Nothing wrong with him out. So you'll still be hearing from him. Even though he's not in the studio, you'll still be hearing from him.
They could do as they please. They could never pull me down. 'Cause I was born as a winner. Dirty heart, tell me why you see now. You're full of energy.
Yes, the dirty heart, eh?
You're tired, but mine it don't walk.
Can't walk. Yes, indeed. So I'm glad, and I hope that folks have taken those of you out of the 5,000 plus, those of you that went at the various centers. So you went to the Grenada Trade Center, or you went to the Karani James Stadium, and you did not check out. You need to contact the Ministry of Health and check out properly. It's not a matter you don't want this one and that one, know your business, and so on. It could be something to save your life. Look, the instance that Kevin was able to use. The young lady had several cysts, including some on her kidneys, and she was walking out because she don't want them people, they know she business. But she needs to do surgery or get treatment to melt those out or to remove them surgically. Yeah? And I am sure that there are other cases similarly. Look, the other one, a person that's trying to leave, they don't want to check out, and the individual has been found with cervical cancer. And if found early enough, this is something that can be treated. There's a high possibility of it being able to be treated if caught early enough. If you catch it in the late stages, your chances of survival diminish significantly. So that person has now been referred to the Ministry of Health here in Grenada, where they can receive whatever treatment, or if possible, you never know, they may get one of the slots to be able to go to Cuba, or if they've got the means to be able to travel outside of Grenada to Trinidad or to the US or Canada or wherever, if they've got family there, and they can get coverage there, to go there and receive the medical treatment they need to receive. But you see, that's the attitude, man, the attitude. Some of us, I think social media has made some of us so dependent on it that we fail to sift through the information to see what is real and what is not. Yeah? So you have the incident over the weekend of the tropical storm, and people start to post pictures of a rock fall by Sendall Tunnel, and other people take it and they don't look at it properly to see that, hey, this thing is from 2014. But they start to post it too. Yeah? They start to post it as though it's something new, and you see that constantly happening. Whether it's a situation at the St. David School a couple months ago where they come and they're putting up like if it's something that just happens, a situation that was sorted out years ago, you know. But you have these constant things being, and I think in some instances, it's people that are doing it with malintent. In some, not in all, but in some instances, it's people that are doing that with malintent. Yeah? So you've got to be careful, folks. Yeah, you've got to be careful with news that you're circulating and the news that you're taking. You've got to be careful with all of that. All right? Nice.
Give up now. Advice for you. Don't try me.
On behalf of the West Hall Secondary School past students, they would like to inform all West Hall Secondary School alumni they are requesting the assistance of all members in aid of the highly anticipated day, that's November 30th, their reunion event. All right? So they're requesting the assistance of members in that. They're asking for a donation of $50 to help make it a fun-filled event. That's going to be taking on Thursday, the 26th of September. They schedule a meeting at the school from 5 p.m. That's this Thursday from 5 p.m. where they'll have more discussion on upcoming events and other matters. The school is celebrating 20 years. Wow, 20 years already for the West Hall Secondary School. So they're asking the past students to help build that bridge and contribute back in the best way that they can. Duncan, sit down. So WeiVybz John, WeiVybz, I hope I'm saying your name properly and I'm not mispronouncing your name. I'm saying it as I see it. It's WeiVybz or Bevis, all right. 405-0263, Adonna Lewis, 536-3861, and Sheldon Braffett. Sheldon, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly, all right? Sheldon Braffett, 414-5318. Or you can check their Facebook page. That's the Wester Hall class from 2004 to now. Or WhatsApp them on 419-9005.
Give up now. My money.
Morning, Miss Duncan. How are you?
I'm good, and good morning to all of our listeners, those of you who are joining us, of course, here in Grenada, Carriacou and Petit Martinique, and those of you listening on We Noise Radio in New York City. And, of course, those of you joining us on the live, good morning to everybody.
Yes, indeed. Let me say good morning to OG. Yeah, the original Oswald himself. Good morning, sir. I hope that you're having a fabulous day today. Jen, good morning to you as well. Yeah, and you see what I say, you have to be discerning. So there's discernment in the spiritual realm and there's discernment in the other realm as well. So you have to know what is fake and know what is real. Know what is good and know what is bad. And one of the problems we're having is that people seem to be falling for a lot of the fake news.
Yes.
On the internet.
Yes. And Sheldon, I feel like I've spent, of course, in your absence when I was here, I spent a lot of time talking about the information that we put out there and the information that we allow ourselves to believe. Because it's so easy for us to fall for fake news. Because that is something that is so rampant these days. You go online. I could go online right now and say that Sheldon is dead. You know, I ain't see you for 2 days and I say Sheldon is dead. And people don't take into consideration if that's true or not. They just find, well, that's sounding a little bit sensational. That sounds good, so I'm going to share it with my friends. And whether we share it as a means of a joke, I may share it with Nazim and say, Nazim, what stupidness somebody posts now, as a joke. But then Nazim is going to share it with his friend in the same way. or whether we share it maliciously, we still need to be careful because, I mean, we look at social media as a means of entertainment, but it's so much more than that. You know, social media it's one of the biggest means of communication with the world right now. Anything that you want anybody to know anywhere.
Also one of the biggest means of miscommunication. With the world right now.
Absolutely. And my coworker and I were having a conversation the other day, and I was saying to her, the problem that we have now, and I think you were there as well, where we were saying that the problem we are having now is that social media allows everything to look so extravagant. For example, on Saturday night when there was so much rain, without social media, that would have been a normal day of rain, right? Without everybody to excite things, that would have been a normal day of rain.
Well, that's what I say. A friend of mine made a post on social media, but it's a very succinct post in that he said, back in the old days, I know he said the old days, these days, for people like me, that mean the 1980s and 1990s. But anyway, in the 80s and the 90s, the weekend would have just been a rainy weekend.
Yeah.
Would not have been a weekend to panic, and that would have just be another rainy weekend in Grenada.
Yeah. I mean,
had additional rain.
I mean, not taking into consideration that, you know, there was a tropical wave or a tropical storm. Before there's a little bit of rain or a little bit of breeze, everybody's saying, oh, well, not men say nothing. We ain't hearing nothing. And look how much rain and so on. We're accustomed to getting rain. We're in the tropics. That is expected, you know. So I think we sensationalize things a little bit too much and we make it a little bit more than it actually is. We have to be very careful in the information that we put out there. That's important. We have to be. We have to be. Even with the ship that just left, that medical ship, there were so many people in dire need of medical assistance that could have gotten it.
You see, the thing is, and I tried to convince some people to go, and it had been so ingrained and embedded in them that the nonsense they were hearing was true, because some of the individuals that were spreading it, I mean, they ought to know better, they should know better, but they were some of the people spreading it. And I mean, it's a sad situation when you see that sort of thing.
And
it's
I mean,
a sad situation.
Sheldon, this may sound a little harsh, but I cannot blame them for sharing the information. I blame us for taking the time to believe it or spending too much time. Well, not me, because I am prone to do research. I am trained that way too. When I hear something, I must hear it from multiple sources first before I can confirm, and multiple credible sources at that, before I confirm that it's true. And we must adapt that kind of principle, because you can hear something from anybody, but the source must be credible. You must ensure that the person that you are hearing this from, if tomorrow you have to take them to court, you understand, they can stand by what they say. You know, we have to learn, we have to build this principle, this practice, where we look for the source here, another source, and another source, and another source. And so we going on Facebook right now. We've gone to a point where we go to Facebook and we look at somebody's personal status and they say something and we take that as a credible source. I mean, we have to move away from that, you know, and train ourselves to look for credibility in things and not just look for things that sound like it's going to be sensational or something that is going to cause a little bit of confusion, you know.
I see Oswald is saying that you have to be careful with the persons with several accounts and many names, and that's what we have
That
here.
is true.
We have in Grenada some political activists, particularly of the National Democratic Congress, some of them who host radio programs, some of them who have multiple accounts. So they may have one account in their own name, but they have 3 and 4 accounts. And what they're doing is they're holding a conversation with themselves to give the impression that there are many people holding that particular view in relation to an issue.
Yeah.
And this is not maybe, this is not conjecture, this is a fact.
Yeah.
That these individuals have multiple Facebook accounts. So they put out something and they say, Ms. Duncan just went down the road. And then you see another person come on and say, yes, I see her. But when you check that account, you realize no pictures, hardly any friends and so. And they only responding to other people posts, they ain't putting up nothing and so. So you realize there's something wrong here. And then you see another post from somebody, yes, I pass her on the road too. I was driving up there and I pass her. and she was walking down the road and she had a dog with her. And you see, the multiple thing begins to make the average person think, well, yeah, it's true she was walking down the road. If you get 3 or 4 people say they see her, then it must be true. Not understanding there's really one person that talking to themselves there, you know. One person just signing, they sign out. They sign in the next computer, they sign out. They sign in the next computer, they sign out. And so they're doing to give the impression that, you know, that it's one person and other people are agreeing with them. That's what's happening. A lot of these stuff. So, Oswald, you're correct. There are some people who have multiple social media accounts, multiple Facebook accounts, multiple Twitter accounts, multiple Instagram accounts, and so on. And they're basically talking to themselves.
Yeah. But I mean, what happened? Why have we become so dependent on social media for information and for fact checking as well? For example, NIS. You go to NIS, you call NIS, you get any information that you want. You call a ministry, you can get information as long as it's not confidential information. It is easy to get this information. Why do we now depend on somebody's personal status or somebody's opinion to become our facts or to become our own opinions? Where have we lost our sense of critical thinking? We no longer, well, I can't say we because I think for myself, but we've lost the sense of critical thinking. You hear something, you don't wait to see if there's another side to the story. You don't wait to see if, you know, there's some fact or some truth to it. We just share it. Mm-hmm. We don't care about the consequences. We don't care anymore.
That seems to be how some individuals are operating. That seems to be how some individuals. So, folks, you have to be careful with the fake news. A lot of people say, oh, the fake news is Trump talk. No. Actually, there's a lot of fake news out there, really and truly. And many people got held. They were held by it. They didn't go onto the ship. And now they're facing the consequences. Ms. Duncan, tomorrow morning, there's going to be a ceremony to congratulate and to award with the highest civilian honor that the Royal Grenada Police Force can endow the individuals who were involved in rescuing the victims of Friday's bus accident. So I think that's a wonderful move by
Absolutely.
Commissioner Martin and his team. That's going to be taking place. It was supposed to take place tomorrow, but, you know, they have post-cabinet this morning. Mm-hmm. So it's been shifted to tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
And you also had course number 44, Gil.
I see how many of them.
This one, I feel, have a lot of men in it.
Yes.
Let's take this call and we'll come back to that. Good morning.
Good morning, Sheldon. How are you?
Hey, I'm fine.
Yes, I'm so happy with this line of conversation. Just one thing I have to say is that I realize that the people on the other side, right, they share things, they only share negative things, but when it's something positive, they don't share it. Because take, for instance, me, whenever I see a business place offer up a vacancy, or even if I see a vacancy in the ministry, or the rehabilitation center has been having a lot of vacancies recently, I share it because sometimes there are people who might not be friends of the ministry or anybody there, but they're friends with me and they might be qualified. So I share it so that they'll see. But I'm seeing a trend that I have a couple of them on the other side as friends on Facebook, and they don't even share one vacancy. They don't even share one positive thing, like when the government is offering scholarships, they don't share it. So that's why I believe they don't want to go nowhere. They don't want the country to go nowhere, because if they see the country has no work, then they're blind. They're socially blind, they're spiritually blind, and they're physically blind. So anyway, you guys have a nice evening. Have a nice day.
All right. Thank you very much.
I want to comment on what the caller said, because he made a very, very good point. Thank you so much for that point. And he is absolutely correct. As an opposition, you want to ensure that your people are well taken care of, right? Because these are the people who you expect to, even if they're not your supporters, you are rallying for these people to put you in government to, you know, run the government, run the system. If you don't help encourage your people to get jobs and to get scholarships and so on, and you keep them on a negative side, what do you think is going to happen when you get into office?
What will happen? I could tell you what will happen, Ms. Duncan. I could play it for you. I could play exactly what will happen for you. Hold on.
For 13 long years, some were living in dark. You say you go bring illumination back. And when for some it was blood and tears, you presented yourself as the heart who cares. So with faith, they wait till it was too late. And with the ex, they give the heart the blessing. But now, some people vow that it seems as though the heart stopped beating. Some people believe that all you didn't have a heart from the start. But these people are in the dark. They do not understand that in fact. The man on the hill in St. Patrick's know that. He said, man, you refuse to give the contract. But when all your campaign was in action, he yellow up the whole junction. And that the green he couldn't get a hold on. He yellow this was too vibrant and too strong. For 13 years they drag him in the dust. Now all you commit is even worse. Oh, what about the old queen in the back of St. Andrews? She used to boss how they win, now she feels she lose. She house used to fool her yellow ancestries. People used to say she have yellow disease. Now you take she pension and water, cause she have some son in Canada. Now when the mountain fall, she go in by the post office as usual. Cause she don't want green people know she ain't got in that.
In truth.
No more.
And they still feel people forget that, you know. They come back grinning like Shasha Cat right now and feel that people forgot that.
Yeah,
all
it's
these
sad.
things that they did, not just to supporters of the New National Party, you know, what they did to their own former supporters. Yeah, they ain't supporting all yeah. Former supporters, what they did to these individuals as well. The people that they take pension, the 70-something and 80-something-year-old people that they cut off water from, all this kind of thing. That's why they will not post positive news. You will not see members of the National Democratic Congress posting that, okay, the oxygen plant has been fixed now. You won't see them posting photos of the work that's taking place in St. John at the medical facility. You won't see them posting any photos of young people out working or in positive activity or so. But let something negative happen, we papa.
And all of this,
every 2 minutes.
all of the scholarships that are available, I mean, these things are always on social media. They're always being shared. Even the vacancies, as he's saying, in the newspapers and so on, these things are always available. Why not say, okay, well, we have a few young people that we know from our side that needs a job. Help them to write a CV. Help them to do something. Be a part of the process instead of condemning the process and standing on public forums and talking about how they know for sure that, you know, when you go to the ministry and they know your mother is a NDC, they ain't giving you a scholarship. That's ridiculousness.
So people just walk with NDC and NNP.
But that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. How do you know that? But that's not the only point, Sheldon. In the ministry itself, there are a lot of public servants that are not members of the current administration.
They don't support.
They don't support the current administration. So are you saying that because
so they openly say it?
Exactly. So what now is
Who
your
cares?
excuse?
Once they're doing their work.
What now is your excuse?
Nobody cares if a public servant supports or doesn't support the government once you're doing your work.
Once you're doing your job, that is what you've been placed there to do.
I was in charge at a point in time of a particular department, and I didn't even want to know who support what party. It's not my business.
It's not
who
your business.
Who you support is your business.
Exactly.
When you go in the polling, because you could say you support my party as much as possible when you go in the polling station.
Nobody knows.
And you go and you make that little mark and you dip your finger after. You and Papa God alone know what take place inside this.
Absolutely.
So, me and care once you're doing your job. That's
absolutely. And that's why I encourage people that they need to start holding their opposition members accountable for the things that they do and say.
Yeah, opposition.
Hold them accountable. Hold them accountable.
Oops, you lost that one. You see, the thing is this as well. And I know that they're trying to juice up coming to the convention, already starting to make excuses and think about, if the numbers ain't there, blah, 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 blah. So they already started to make excuses and so. Because like they seem to forget that there were people like Honorable Peter David, Senator the Honorable Glennis Roberts, Mr. Joseph Gilbert, Ambassador Salambi Gill, Ali Gill. Yeah? You had some decent people like Mr. Colin Labari. Yeah? You have my Siddiqui Sylvester. You had these quality of people that were in the National Democratic Congress. And what you all do? You kick them out. Some of them, they're afraid to actually kick out. But they realize that, listen, if we get rid of these people will go as well. And they do what they did, and they got rid of these people from the organization. And now they want to take the time and be cussing these same people for leaving. People like Cami, who used to leave she house on a Sunday. She don't even cook a piece of food sometimes. She had to leave she Sunday food or she could have relaxed to go from one end of the country or the other with them. And then this is the same people passing and throw word for Cami right now.
Well, they say if you know better, do better.
So we have a caller online. We have a caller online. Good morning.
Hey, Brother Sheldon.
Hey.
It's Duncan. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Brother Sheldon, what happened? The NDC party, they don't like nothing good. They don't like nothing good. All what they like is themselves. And they even like themselves. Because if you like yourself, right, you will love your country. When you love yourself, you don't love nothing. Right? I want to say, Brother Sheldon and Ms. Duncan, a lot of people prefer propaganda than the life. Because life is important. And if you got some information and you know evidence is true or not true, there have been sources where you could go and get the right information about what is going on. When people don't want to get the right information, they stay really negative, and they will always be negative. And I always say the negative things will not go forward. The negative things will not bear positive fruit. Only the positive fruit and the good fruit and the right fruit that we produce. When we remain negative, you always go backward. Yeah. So I want to say to the Grenadian people that went on the boat, went in the stadium and the trade center to get proper health care. Congratulations to the American for the wonderful care they take to the time they take it to assist the Grenadian people to get proper health care. So Brother Sheldon, Ms. Duncan, you all have a wonderful day. God bless you all.
You too.
Thank you. And you see how fake news has now affected the lives and the quality of life of some individuals, because there are people who really needed to be on that vessel
yes.
that never made it there because of fake news. In fact, I passed there on Thursday, myself and Devon, and when I was leaving, there was this lady, and she was to the back of the line. There were somewhere around like 400 people in front of her, and she was to the back of the line and saying, I hope I get through. And, she said, oh gosh, it's the fake news we see, the news they send it to us on the phone, and we believe it. It's only now we know. We have a caller online.
Hello, caller.
Morning, Sheldon, and morning, Ms. Duncan.
Morning, sir.
Wonderful. Sheldon, one of the things that we need to have our people investigate and look at, because you live in a community with these people who have the worst to say and saying nothing is happening, right? Look at their children. Most of their children are furthering their education on government-paid programs, both home and abroad. You go to the university, that's the St. George's University, the SGU, and you will see and realize their children who are there, they are under government funding programs. Most of them get scholarship. And let me tell you something, Sheldon. They know what the government is doing, because here what happens. They go and they do the research, as Ms. Duncan is saying. You can call the ministry, call the scholarship desk and know what is there. These opposition forces have the numbers, they do the research, and they ensure that the children get benefit from these programs.
Very correct.
But then they say to the people outside, nothing is happening. So they're telling you one thing, but if you look at their life, how they are developing and how their children is furthering their education, is under government funding programs. And this is something that we need to look at. People in the communities, look at them. Ask them, they say the children, they study in certain place. Ask them how they reach there under a government-paid program. Just wanted to mention it for what it was.
Yes, and you see, the thing is this, brother?
Yeah?
Some of them want to make sure only their children go.
That is exactly what I'm saying.
They're discouraging you from sending. It's the same thing as what happened last week with the medical vessel.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Some people who were there calling into radio programs saying about don't trust, sending out the WhatsApp from their phones, and also on social media putting up all sorts of stories about don't trust. They were some of the people that went early on the Sunday, get the treatment and was gone.
Very true.
Exactly.
And they can't tell me a lie because I was wrong. I see them. They were wrong. The only mistake I make, I should have taken photographs.
Good.
That's the mistake I make.
All right, my brother.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Sister Duncan.
Yeah, so Sheldon, we're right. He's right. I mean, you can hear that the country is bad, but it is up to you to believe it, right? You have so many scholarships. How do you know that your child is not going to get through with a scholarship if you've never tried? You have never tried. Nobody close to you have ever tried. But there's a circle of you speaking about, oh, we're never going to get through to a scholarship, and scholarships are only for certain people. But you don't know because you've never tried.
If it have 100 available, and you're able to make sure that only 30 apply, and your child happens to be one of the 30, they just made sure that their child is going to get the scholarship.
Absolutely.
Meanwhile, yours sit down at home twiddling your thumb because they told you, don't bother try, you ain't going to get through.
You ain't going to get through.
So your child sit down home and theirs getting the education.
And
so that's what some of them doing.
There are so many scholarships available, and I think maybe what I'll do later today is to try and find out how many we have from the scholarship desk, how many are available, and maybe post it on our page. But I know before we post anything on the NNP page, the first thing they say is that, look, the NNP posting government thing and the NNP in cahoots with government, when all we are trying to do is share the information so that people out there can know what's happening, which is what they are supposed to be doing also, you know.
I am often sent information on employment opportunities by various organizations. They know the strength of my social media page, my page in particular, my profile page, my Sheldon Scott page. They know the strength of it. They also know that Hard Talk is broadcast on multiple stations. So from time to time, people with information on employment would send it. Like, for instance, right now, True Blue Bay, they're looking for stuff. They didn't send it to me, but somebody else sent it to me.
Yeah.
And say, look, True Blue Bay looking for people. We know it has always put out stuff. They sent it to me. The child protection? No,
yes,
the Ministry of Social Services.
Child Protection Authority.
Because they are, earlier in this year, you heard, you nearly used the word would have, but you heard the minister speak of that center for girls specifically. It's not the rehabilitation center that's there now, but a specific home for girls.
For girls. Mm-hmm.
So now they're looking for things like the security guard, the receptionist,
psychologist,
even the gardener,
and so on.
And then the upper level as the manager and the psychologist and these sort of things. So they've sent that out. We have a caller on the line. And we circulate
Hello,
these
good
things.
morning.
Good morning.
How are you? Good morning here.
Hey,
morning,
welcome, Papa.
Mr. Sheldon. Morning, the lady. So everybody all right?
Everybody's good.
All right. Listen, you don't know what the season, you know. The only season you have is a motorcycle. That's the only thing you have because motorcycle have one seat. So you don't have, so don't talk about that next time.
Green man, behave yourself, eh?
All right, later.
All right, sir.
Bye-bye.
When you say opposition, you're speaking in the broader sense of forces that are not pro-government but are anti-government.
Yeah.
So we could say anti-government
trend,
forces, but they're basically opposing forces.
And you would
to
know
the
them,
government.
there is a trend because all of the people that we consider opposition, people that are fighting for a seat in government or a seat to represent their constituency, you know them. Because if you go on social media now and you go to their pages, the only thing you see is condemnation, opposition, no proposition, no sharing of information that is valuable to the public. And these are the things that you see. So you know them. And you have to think for yourself as a citizen of the country. If this person is always opposing, they're always negative, and they're sharing nothing, do I want them to represent me?
We have a caller.
Hi, good morning, caller.
Morning, Sir Scott.
Morning, sir.
And to the young lady, how Devon, man?
Well, he's okay for the time being, but he has his challenges. He was here a while ago, so he showed
that woman voice, I think prior to the carnival time around this, so she good too, man. She could articulate, man. She very good too.
Yes, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, she could handle. You talked about you remember the Timothy Antoine, they attempt to drop out of the race too, you know, remember that?
In fact, the same week that Timothy Antoine, the man whose signature is now on all we money, the nice new money that coming out, we have that GBSS boy from up in Happy Hill, who was the permanent secretary in the Ministry of Finance. His signature is on we $100, we $50, we $20, we $10, and we $5, the nice new ones. And George Worm and the Grenada today told him to drop out of the race the week before he was approved.
Yeah, I could remember.
I've still got the article, man.
The guy, so Scott, I understand that guy in that NEC can't find no leader, so I understand they're going back to our back-to-back losers for their ship. To me, that don't make no political sense, man. I don't know if they want to die in opposition. Maybe they want to die in opposition. Because I don't understand.
You game PR.
Back-to-back losers and try to play with the guy. They already test and fail. You have to use some young brother, use some new faces to see they could go in wrong. But if people are tested and failed already, and back-to-back losers, well, now, I think that's the end of them.
You game? All right, brother. I want to know if you gain pay or you gain advice.
But I have this one thing to say. If you have an opposition, and that's what we need to consider, if you have an opposition whose main goal is just to defeat the current administration, then that's not who you want as your opposition. Your opposition's goal must be how they can improve your life as a Grenadian, right? The other day, the representative, I'm not sure where he's a representative for. I'm not that politically savvy. But Mr. Philip?
He's not a representative.
Whatever he is, an NDC activist.
NDC caretaker. He wish he's a representative.
He was on Good Morning Grenada.
I could tell you what he's representative of.
He was on Good Morning Grenada, and he was talking about what the NDC, what the current administration is not doing. That was his main focus, what they're not doing. So I decided that I was going to call as a concerned citizen of Grenada with no political bias or anything. And I asked the gentleman, I am not biased.
I bias.
And I called the gentleman and I asked him, I said, well, as a constituent, as a person who, as an electorate, someone who is going to vote in the next election, right? I need you to convince me why you want me to vote for you. And all I want is 3 reasons. That's all. I don't want you to tell me a list of things that the government has not done. I don't want you to tell me what you guys did in 2008. I don't want to know any of that. I want to know what you're going to do differently. 3 things that you are going to do differently. How you are going to get it done, and if you have a plan of action to get it done. The answer to my question was, I could give you 333. I didn't even get 3, much less 333. Right?
You want me to tell you what I don't want to do? The NDC plan after the next election, if they were to form the government, jail Dr. Keith Mitchell, jail Gregory Bowen, jail Sheldon Scott.
But why? Why would that be your objective? So then you're not going to do anything for me as a Grenadian?
Not like they'll be able to.
But that means you're not going to do anything for me as a Grenadian. When you get into office, that would be your main goal. That is going to take up your entire 4 years, which is what happened the last time. Your entire time and effort was spent on saying that the previous administration didn't do anything and that the previous administration was involved in corruption. You're trying to find what the corruption is. You're trying to investigate. You spent an entire 4 or 5 years investigating and did nothing for the country. Well, how are you not going to learn from something like that and put a plan together that says this is what we're going to do and how we plan to achieve it? Now, if I can't hear something like that, you cannot get my vote. And that is how Grenadians need to start thinking. You have to look at what you have and what you are getting and the track record, somebody's history. If you go to a doctor and you see that doctor has had a history and a track record of people dying after going to his clinic, would you continue to go to that clinic? No, you're going to go to some accredited person who has a good track record of always providing proper service and solving problems and doing all of these things. And that is how we need to start thinking as Grenadians and stop looking at all of this negativity and being wrapped up in all of the confusion and being the ball in this political ping pong that is being played. We have to stop. We have to hold them accountable for the things that they are saying and ask them, what is your plan? That's all I want to know, what is your plan?
The plan is...
What about the brother who walked years with CCC? To be laugh, you care for his family. When you sing change, he dance to your rhythm, never knowing that move would affect him. Soon as you come, you take that
Yeah, that is it, yeah. And we know what happened after that, eh? We know what happened after that, you know. After that, this happened.
Why was I so sad?
This happened to them after. Folks, I need one of my Closure people to call me immediately after the program. I know that you all are listening. I need one of my folks in Closure to give me a call immediately after the program.
Them bad, they just look past them when they see them pass. Or just take a big stone and knock down the rust. But I have a therapy I'm willing to share. Anytime the pressure get too much to bear, I have a new dance, it is the formula. Once you do it, I know you must be
440-7377.
Let me explain the dance to you. Just a simple demonstration. It is very.
We've got a caller online.
Good morning, caller.
Morning, Sheldon Scott.
Morning.
Good morning and good morning to you.
Good morning, Miss Cammy.
Yeah, good morning. Yeah, I just see there's one for Suru and Bano Boy.
Yeah. Giving him real
Well, I
pressure.
just want to say good morning to my friend from England that listens to this program every morning in Grenada on vacation.
Nice.
He and his wife and his son. So I don't know if you're listening this morning, so I want to say good morning from Carriacou. Good morning.
Wow.
And good morning to Patty and Mr. Watts and his wife, Bingo, and all the Grenadians in Brooklyn, New York, in England, Canada who listen to our talk. Sheldon.
Yes, ma'am.
We have a serious problem in Grenada right now, in the town of St. George.
Mm-hmm.
We marketing Grenada out there as pure Grenada, right? So we don't only come to Grenada when it's tourist season.
True.
So it's always in Grenada. They always in Grenada. Sometimes they come in for a weekend, they send a guest house, they say what they say. And the Indians, and I'm going to stress on it, and the Indians just throwing garbage, dead garbage, on the street, in front of the place. The whole Halifax street. They should have a time when they have to put out the garbage and they have a truck to fix them immediately. The Indians don't own Grenada, and I want to hear us loud and clear. And I'm calling on the Prime Minister, I'm calling on Solid Waste, I'm calling on Mr. Steele to take this up very serious because I'm tired call and nobody's doing nothing. On Saturday, I nearly broke my leg in front of the jail place. The man just threw out all the garbage. They're not putting it in black bags. They're selling the bags. So they could put it in bags. And Mr. Scott,
Yes, ma'am.
I want them to get. I remember when they removed everybody at that vending. So they removed the vendors. Yes, they should be in the market selling the vegetables. But now the Indians get it free to just throw garbage there. I cannot go to Bangladesh. I cannot go to India. I cannot go to Pakistan and open a business at Grenada and throw the garbage on the street. It's not nice. It's not healthy. Just for the weekend, some people went and they cleaned. Right? The school of divers and then they cleaning the beaches. And they feel they're blocking our city. They're on Grenada. That is my plea to them. I'm very upset about it. All I said is Halifax Street. The police can't tell them anything. They're on Grenada. So I'm calling on those in authority. Solid waste, that is the problem. Do all the job. Have a good evening.
All right, thank you. Let me say this. I don't want to single out one particular ethnicity or one particular group of people when it comes to that issue, because I think it's a general problem around all our towns.
Yeah.
That you have businesses that are doing, and according to what I believe I heard from one of the Solid Waste Management Authority programs during this year, what is taking place there is illegal.
Right.
In that, and they have said that they will be soon addressing that issue. It ought not to be a case, because we see it. If you pass in town,
especially on a Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, or you pass late at night.
Yeah.
You see it. A set of garbage just blowing all over the town.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And it does not look good.
Yeah.
It does not look good for our capital city. It does not look good for Grenville. It does not look good for any of our towns and so. It is said that the businesses are actually supposed to organize the transportation of their garbage that they generate on a daily basis to the landfill.
Okay.
It is not supposed to be placed in front there for collection and so. And Cammie's point is a valid one. Some may not like it, but it's a valid point. If you remove the sidewalk vendors, so you're making sure that people have proper egress, they call it, that they can walk along the sidewalks properly, then you can't allow anyone to come back afterwards now and clog the sidewalks.
That's very true.
So a system must be worked with. She's very right. A system must be worked with along with the Grenada Solid Waste Management Authority to ensure that the garbage is stored properly and collected and sent up to the landfill. Now the problem, and this is on the side of the business people now, and notice I'm not just saying Indian business. I refuse to single out any particular group except to say business people in general in the town, because there are other people with businesses in the town who do the same thing.
And they do it as well, yeah.
They do the same thing. It's not just the Indians. Yeah? So they do the same thing. I believe that the system has to be put in place to do that. But in their defense now, for a truck coming to pick up the garbage at a certain hour, Perseverance is closed.
Yeah.
So the truck have to basically keep that garbage until it's open the next morning to drop it off. So probably some sort of arrangement may have to be made. Then you have I refuse to call them vagrants, but those people that go and dig up in the garbage and so, because I don't think we have vagrants in Grenada. Honestly, we don't have vagrants in Grenada. Let's just be real. We don't have vagrants in this country. Go in Trinidad, you go see what a vagrant is. Go in Jamaica, you'll see what a vagrant. We don't have vagrants here. You have people who may have their mental challenges, socially displaced, but not to the level of vagrant.
Yeah.
Right? So we know all of them. We know them by name and number all over town. Right? So these individuals, they go and they dig in it. Now, I was reading an article, before coming here this morning, I was reading an article that Grenada is one of the number one countries that's causing plastic pollution to the oceans.
Yes, I read that similar article.
And that was shocking, but not unbelievable. Because you see, sometimes in disposing our garbage, for instance, let's say there's a bin on River Road, and instead of stopping and properly placing your garbage in the bin, some people pass and they fling, it missed the bin, it end up in the river. Where you feel it go in?
Into the sea.
Right.
But not only that, the throwing of garbage over precipices and so on.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen it. People do it regularly.
When the rain comes, like it come this weekend, it washing out
It washes
into
it down, yeah.
Have you all, like about a couple of years ago, I took a look at the Carriacou Ash Wednesday morning. And believe me, that is not a sight you wanted anybody, Grenadian or otherwise, to see. Because there had been significant rains the night before.
Yeah.
And it washed all the plastic cups and the plastic bags and the paper and the straws and everything. And the Carriacou just had these floating islands of garbage. Yeah? That's not the image we want of our country. So one, I applaud the initiative taken by the Ministry of Climate Resilience and so to ensure that we get rid of plastics overall.
Yeah.
Although we wouldn't totally get rid of them, but to get rid of plastics. And as we reduce the number of plastics and so we can reduce our footprint in that garbage that's making it to the Caribbean Sea, Trinidad. I mean, they have it, the floods that they had over the weekend show up Trinidad.
Oh, yes.
Trinidadians. I could tell all of that because I was born there. All they're nasty. No, I could tell them that. I was born there. I could tell them that. I need to clean the place because you're seeing some rivers, you know,
of
and
plastic,
some streams, just plastic bottles and styrofoam containers. That is nastiness. How they ending up there? And I pray that we never end up with that situation in Grenada. That one day we see River Road and all we see is a set of plastic bottle. Let's just try to avoid it as much as possible. We're already in the top 10. The top 10 in the Caribbean.
In the Caribbean,
In the Caribbean. For waste going into the rivers, let's try to avoid that one.
Because they did say that the Caribbean is the place that produces the most plastic waste.
Yeah.
You know, and that's saddening because we're so small.
Yeah, I wish companies, Coca-Cola, you know I love you all. You know I love you all, but it's time you all go back to glass bottle.
You had to tell some of them go with their cup.
It tastes better. No, even if we had a cup with cup and thing, but It tastes better and everything. Go back to the glass bottle.
Yeah.
Get rid of this plastic thing.
But we
Let's go back
do
the
have
glass
to do
bottle.
better as a people. And I mean, we're trying, we're making strides to get there. And of course, there'll be the little negativity and a little condemnation and so on. But at the same time, we have to try. We have to do something. We have to make our mark because it affects everybody. Good morning, caller.
Hello, good morning. That's Miss Duncan and then Mr. Scott.
Good morning. Sir.
And Mr. Romain, who's not well today.
But we know you're listening.
I'm always quick. Let me say this. All these individuals who are sitting on Facebook, everything, they're sending it to me too. They're sending all these nasty things to me. I came into Grenada shortly. Maybe you all know me or don't know me. And one of the activists of the NDC told me everything this government does, they will try to break it up so they will win the election. And I have, Lord, I wouldn't say that. Because some of my relatives who are against NNP will know. They are doing everything. If there is no rain, it's Keith Mitchell and NNP. If there is rain, Keith Mitchell and NNP. Everything negative is Keith Mitchell and the NNP. But this old solid NNP rock will never be removed. Have a blessed day.
Same to you, sir.
Well, I must say that I am very proud to be part of an institution that has so much powers, that we have control over Mother Nature and all.
Yeah, man.
But it's very sad that we have gotten to this point. I read a comment the other day, and I don't remember in entirety what the comment was exactly, but I remember the feeling I got when I read it. I was disgusted, disappointed. I was in total dismay.
You see, the difference between me and you is that you still hold out hope that those guys in NDC have sense and morality.
Well,
I don't. I know the individuals that are dealing with there. That's why I expect them to say and do anything.
Well, and Nazim helped me because I believe...
If they could get rid of Peter, you think these people have sense?
Well...
All right.
Well, we're glad, though. We're glad because anything that can help us, we're taking it.
And intellect.
Yes.
Intellect.
Nazim helped me here. It was a comment from NDC all the way, I believe. Was it on the death of somebody or something... to that regard.
What I could say is that they've even tried to spin the bus accident on Friday political.
Yeah, that was ridiculous.
That you've seen people saying, for these kind of accidents to finish, NNP must be out of...
That was absolutely ridiculous.
It's such an ignorantly dotish statement to make.
Yeah, I read the comments. Statement. I read the comments about the government and
talking
it was
about
ridiculous.
All these strange deaths. No, I wouldn't get into it because I could outline some strange deaths that take place during NDC time, but that doesn't mean that it was the fault of the NDC government. Things happen from time to time in every single country on earth. And you can't blame and say the government for this and that. Now I'm hearing the talk about put railing around the carnage and so well. I know that question was posed to the minister this morning. And as in the initial investigations, they're looking at the vehicle and probably looking at all public service vehicles now to make sure that they're up to roadworthy standard.
Yes.
With proper papers, everything.
Yeah.
To be on the roads to transport the general public. Maybe that discussion in relation to a railing around the carnage is something that could be discussed and looked at the feasibility of it. There definitely has to be work on the carnage. That has been mentioned. Any of you that look at Island in the Sun, go see the carnage what it looked like when it had railing.
Yeah.
And have photos of the carnage with railing around it. Looks nice. It's not the same thing, but it looks nice, and with railing too, some people might want to go and lean up to it, and next thing you know, splash.
Exactly.
Then some might just splash.
That's where we're going to encourage more limers, and guess what? More debris in the water.
Yeah.
You know, so you have to think about you have to consider all of these things when you're thinking about all of that. But I mean, we have to be smart as a people, and sometimes the comments we make me wonder. I mean, how could you blame the government for something that isn't even? I mean, how could you relate that? Where did that correlation come from? How do you connect? Where is the relationship between an accident that was entirely just that, an accident, and blame it on the government? I mean, it's ridiculous. So what are we going to do next? What are we going to blame the government for? St. Paul's, the dam was low?
No, that's an NP fault.
The dam was low. Yes, that was our fault too. I remember that.
That was an NP fault too.
I mean, it's ridiculous. You cannot blame everything. It's an NP fault too. Everything. And guess what? If they're doing that now, when the NDC gets into power, if that ever happens, hopefully not. And I'm being honest, because if the current NDC wants to represent me, that's something I would never, ever, ever welcome. It's crazy because they're not even ready. They're not close to ready.
Ms. Duncan, we out of time.
Oh, no.
We had to consider this. We had to continue this conversation tomorrow.
Absolutely.
Folks, that's all the time we have for Hard Talk today. We've gone over our time by a couple minutes. We'd just like to thank each and every one of you for being on, Devon for making that little pass today. Yeah, you just make a short pass, and we hope him a speedy recovery. And indeed, on the technical side, Mr. Nazim Benjamin, always off camera, but never outside fire. Yeah. So he's right here with us. So, Mr. Nazim Benjamin, we like to, not Nazim Burke, Nazim Benjamin. I'll go say I go and attack any man again. Not I end the man political career already. I ain't interested in that. Yeah. Well, I hear you want to. Anyway, we'll talk about that tomorrow. Ms. Duncan, we have some talk to talk tomorrow. All right, folks, that's all the time we have for our talk today, and everything you say. And do it safe and secure. I want to be speaking to and with you.
And not about you.
We are out of here. Watch, I feel I will play some kind of music for a little while. Let's start with that one.
Grenada's economy is heading for its 7th year of consistent growth, averaging over 5%. Unemployment was reduced by 20%, while debt to GDP ratio was reduced from 108% to 63.5%. NNP, committed to the economic and social development of our people. NNP, delivering on the promise.
Prime Minister Dr. The Right Honourable Keith Mitchell in New York for a series of engagements. Details to this story and more in the National Report. Welcome back. With the details to the news on Monday, September 23rd, I am Sherry Ann Noel. Prime Minister Dr. The Right Honourable Keith Mitchell left the state on Monday for New York, where he will be attending several meetings at the United Nations. In his first engagement on Tuesday, Dr. Mitchell will deliver remarks at the launch of a year of action by the Global Commission on Adaptation, GCA. As a core commissioner of the GCA, Dr. Mitchell is one of the champions for greater attention to adaptation as a means of addressing the impact of climate change. On Wednesday, the Prime Minister will join his regional colleagues and the Prime Minister of India, Honorable Narendra Modi, for the Carriacou India Summit level meeting. This meeting is expected to consider potential areas of further cooperation between CARICOM and India, which is the 6th largest economy in the world. On Friday, Dr. Mitchell will attend a high-level luncheon mission Transforming Inland Lives, the network of regional sustainable energy centers for small island development states. Dr. Mitchell, in his capacity as president of the Small Island Sustainable Energy and Climate Resilience Organization, SIDS-DOC, will also deliver remarks at his event. Included on the agenda for his meeting is the launch of a video, SIDS Children, Call for Climate Action, which Grenada was instrumental in producing. While in New York, the Prime Minister is expected to also engage in several bilateral meetings. He returns to the state on Saturday. In his absence, Honorable Gregory Boeing has been appointed acting Prime Minister. 60 recruits chosen from a field of more than 700 are now enrolled at the police training school at the SSU camp in the south of the island. During the opening ceremony of recruit course number 44 at the police training school at Camp Celine on Monday, Acting Commissioner of Police Edwin Martin spoke to them about the importance of making the best of the opportunity received.
60 from 700 plus is no easy feat. Upon successfully completing your training, the 16 females who are a part of this course will increase the female to male ratio within the RGPF by 20%. This is the highest ratio in recent history and speaks volumes to our effort to improve gender balance within the RGPF, notwithstanding some administrative challenges. I want to indicate to you that the commencement of training today is no guarantee of graduation or becoming a police officer. You must pass your exams and demonstrate the required level of physical fitness, discipline, integrity, and intelligence. In addition, you must successfully complete 2 years of probation following your training. So this is only the beginning of what can be a very challenging but exciting journey.
The Commissioner also encouraged recruits to dream big and work hard by nurturing their ambitions from the start.
You are endeavoring to become members of the Royal Grenada Police Force, and so it is important to have an understanding of the principles and expectations of this profession. The RGPF has 3 core values which will serve as a guide to your personal and professional conduct. These values are pride, integrity, and respect. Pride, we are committed to conducting ourselves in a manner that will bring honor to ourselves, our force, and our community. Let pride be a litmus test for your conduct, and if any intended action does not bring honor to yourself, your force, or your country, I want to urge you to refrain from it.
Commandant at the Police Training School, ASP Holly George, says the recruitment opens a new chapter in their lives. Recruit course number 44, he says, is very unique in its composition.
By that I mean it is the second batch of 60 candidates the school is undertaking to train as recruits. However, unlike the previous course number 43, which had 33 females and 27 males, its makeup is 44 males and 16 females. Candidates of course number 44. Today, you have closed the chapter I refer to as the calling in your autobiography on becoming a police officer.
This is the National Report. More news after the break.
Prepare for hurricane. Prepare for hurricane. Make sure you have your radio and your batteries too. Waterproof flashlight candles will do. Tin stuff, garbage bag, first aid kit. Come on people, make sure you have it. Clean water in a container and a hurricane plan. Hear me no man.
Hurricane damage is beyond your control. Surviving the aftermath is up to you. Have a hurricane plan. It can save your life and your family too.
Prepare for hurricane. Your hair, prepare for hurricane.
Welcome back. The oxygen system at the General Hospital is back in operation, thanks to the work done by members of the USNS Comfort, which just wrapped up its week-long visit to Grenada. The Ministry of Health says the USNS members were able to fix one of the compressors that was in need of repair, which means they can generate oxygen. But a second compressor is in need of parts to be fully functional once again. The hospital, which is also in possession of new oxygen tanks, has depended on weekly shipments from Trinidad. Commanding Officer of the USNS Comfort, Patrick Amasbash, is delighted to have been in Grenada to be able to get the oxygen plant functioning again.
There was an issue with the delivery, and as a result, we
took 8 of the H cylinders large and turned them over to the hospital for use. So while our staff was doing that to ensure that all the fittings were appropriate, they went ahead and worked with the engineers at the hospital to determine if there was anything else that could be done. So working with the hospital and the staff from the USNS Comfort, they were able to not only fix, but the plant is actually generating medical grade oxygen for the first time in 2 years. So, I mean, that's huge. It's part of the reason why we're here. We're just very fortunate that we had that opportunity, right time, right place, in order to provide that service. I mean, it's about the partnership, right?
The oxygen system went down in May of this year. Diaspora involvement is crucial for the overall development of Grenada and other CARICOM states. That's according to Foreign Affairs Minister Honorable Peter David, under whose ministry the Diaspora Affairs Department falls. His comment was made in the context of an upcoming Diaspora Engagement Conference scheduled for Washington, D.C. on the weekend. Minister David says it comes just weeks after the recent conclusion of a successful conference in Grenada for Caribbean countries that was organized by the International Organization of Migration.
We were able to have discussions with not only the IOM and the technicians, but also with other Caribbean countries, with CARICOM, as to how we develop our diaspora program, not only in Grenada, but throughout the region. Everybody is aware of the importance of the diaspora to our development. We have a huge diaspora community, and as I always say, they are the most patriotic community you will find. But we must not only see them in terms of sending stuff to Grenada and helping periodically, but we must engage them in the development of the country. Not only the remittances that we receive, not only the items we receive for the hospitals and other communities, these are absolutely important. But what is also important is to get the ideas and to have them know that they are seen and treated as a part of the development of the country.
The purpose of engagement is to develop a long-term plan for the development of the diaspora and to make the diaspora an integral part of the country's development.
We have met with the diaspora in London. We are meeting with the diaspora in Washington, D.C. and in New York in the next 2 weeks. We are going to meet with them in Toronto, Montreal, and other cities in Canada over the next couple of months. So we are consulting them on this. And at the end of it, we are going to have a plan, a program that will guide us, and not only us in government now, but future governments on the diaspora, because this is not a partisan issue. The diaspora is concerned about Grenada. The diaspora is concerned about its development, and we as a people must engage them in that context and ensure that they find a place, not only in providing material assistance, but becoming integrally involved in the development of the country.
And with this, we come to the end of the National Report for Monday, September 23rd. On behalf of the news and production team, I am Sheria Noel, thanking you for viewing.
Stay up to date with all that's happening with the new national party, NNP. Send us a message via text or WhatsApp on 405-8683 with your name, email, and constituency. Stay in the know with NNP. Get updated.